right, good morning, everybody. Um, can you hear me okay? All right, thank you. So we'll join palms, and you can repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. And keeping the palms joined. All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for being here. My name is Jeff, and I will be leading you in a little meditation and discussion. What I'd like to do is always just start with a question. And you'll see if you're brand new to joining us, there's a chat box there. And you can just go ahead and comment. I'm just reading Janelle's comment here about your pup, Piper. And maybe what we'll do is I usually like to ask a question and have everybody just kind of share their thoughts while we give some time to settle in before everyone shows up. But why don't we take the next few moments, and I guess my question for you today is what words of comfort and compassion do you have for Janelle and Piper? If you didn't see, she shared, OMG, good timing. I'm here with my sick lab, Piper. She's being euthanized today. What a beautiful way to send her off. So why don't we take the next few moments, and my question is, what words of love, compassion, kindness do you have for Janelle and Piper as she goes through this challenge right now? And go ahead and type this in for anybody who maybe jumps on. What words of compassion and kindness you have for Janelle? Yes. What words of compassion and kindness do you have for Janelle and her dog Piper? As Piper euthanized today. You know, it's an interesting thing, this Dharma stuff, this Buddhist stuff, these teachings, because, you know, most of us, if not all of us, get on this journey and on this path and jumped on meditation here with us this morning because, you know, we want to find a sense of peace and happiness and comfort in our lives. And so we seek and crave and desire a sense of something for us. And for me, what really clicked with this practice a long time ago is it's not about us. It's not about me. It's about others. We've kind of adopted this as our motto for the college group, Delta Beta Tau. Our slogan is for the benefit of others. And to me, that's the Bodhisattva practice. That's the Bodhisattva journey, is to vow to be reborn life after life for to help all beings be free from suffering, and to help all beings liberate from suffering. So it's a great way. Someone asked a question, I think last class, about, non-self, and whether that's a metaphysical thing. And it again, it has nothing to do with that. It's, to me, non-self is recognizing that life isn't about you. It's about someone else. But we spend so much of our time focused on me, 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 and therefore we focus on our suffering. So the practice for me has always been most profound once I realized that I'm going to live my life to help others suffer less. And through the act of that, my suffering actually is less. But if we focus on I am suffering, I need help, giving rise to a sense of self, we're giving rise to our suffering, we're giving rise to all these cravings and desires of things that we need. We kind of flip it around and say, I'm going to focus on your suffering. I'm going to be of service for what you need. It takes us out of that sense of self. And we all know how great it feels when we help others and we bring joy to others. And over the years, people have always often said to me, well, what about you? And to me, there is no me. That's what non-self is, to my understanding as a practitioner. I don't have it on me right now, but there's a drawing I have. I don't know if it's a drawing. It's almost like an image of kind of a skeleton figure sitting in meditation. And one of my teachers in the monastery in Taiwan gave it to me, and it says, who am I? And so it's just a reminder that we are just these, physical beings that come together for a period of time, but we have this consciousness and this ability to drastically impact others. So again, if you're just joining us, and you didn't, if you didn't scroll up on the chat here, Janelle shared early on that she's joining us with her dog Piper, who will be euthanized today. And this is a beautiful way to send her off. So the question I asked everybody was, what words of compassion or kindness do you have for Janelle and Piper? So I appreciate all of you for sharing. I'll just read. For some of you I know are on your cell phone and don't have the access to the chat. But I'll share some of the words: love, comfort, and support to you and Piper. Warmth, love, and peace to you both. Much peace and love to you and Piper. Holding you both close in my heart. Sending love and healing energy to you and those closest to Piper. May Piper be free from suffering during her time of rebirth. Lots of hearts. I went through this with my cat a year ago, and it takes so much courage and compassion to eliminate the suffering of others, even if it increases our own suffering. May you know each other's spirit again soon. Piper's lucky to have such a loving and caring companion. Thank you for taking care of her through this difficult time. I don't know Piper, but I'm sure she loves and appreciates all you have done. Much love to both of you. And then Janelle just shared she opened her eyes hearing her name. So with that, again, thank you all for sharing. Janelle, I'm glad you can be here. I'm glad Piper's with us. And we'll go ahead and we'll start the meditation practice. And as we sit, it's good to just hold Janelle and Piper in your hearts and in your minds as you sit, sending lots of compassion and kindness to them both. So for those who are maybe joining us for the first time, a couple things to tell you before we begin the meditation. Nothing's going to happen to you. You won't float away. You won't have any mystical, magical experiences. You won't figure anything out whatsoever. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Don't judge this. Meaning, don't ask yourself, is it working or not working? Am I doing it right or wrong? We're just going to sit. We're going to breathe. You'll hear sounds inside, sounds outside. This is life. The practice of meditation is learning to get quiet and still within all the chaos. So Posture, you just want to be comfortable, whatever you're sitting on. If you're on a cushion, help slide into the front third, pushing the stomach forward, allows the back to straighten. Shoulders are relaxed, hands can be on the knees or in the lap. I'll guide us as we begin, and we will settle into a little bit of silence. Most important with this practice is don't expect anything. We're just going to sit and breathe. And starting with the eyes closed if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths slowly. And eventually settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Knowing throughout the practice you'll hear sounds inside the room, sounds outside. These are not distractions, not disruptions. Simply what's happening around us as we sit. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. We'll start with gently guiding the attention and focus to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, they fall. Simply continue this practice, observing sensation of breath, expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. Where's your mind? Lost in thought? Return attention, focus to the breath. Letting go of expectations, letting go of judgments from the practice, just sitting, breathing. Learning to be comfortable in stillness, in quiet, wanting nothing but to sit and breathe. keeping the mind alert, aware of each sound, each thought, each physical sensation, yet concerned with nothing but sitting, breathing, and with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sounds, and the mind learning to settle, know what it's like to just sit and breathe, knowing with each breath there's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, and no one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing, And once again, taking 3 deep breaths slowly. And as you slowly open the eyes, slowly begin to move. And most important, with the practice of meditation, is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. And ask yourselves how you'd prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, if it's quiet, calm, and still, or a busy mind, racing mind, whatever you're sitting with at this moment, has nothing to do with anything I said. It's nothing to do with how we sit and hold the hands or cross the legs. It's nothing to do with the sounds around us or anything else for that matter. It has everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to the world around us. This is what the Buddha called pratitya samuppada, dependent origination. This is the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awakened. He was a human being no different than any one of us who began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. What that means very simply for all of us, regardless of where we come from or what we believe in or where we think we're going, our whole life is filled with things that happen. We react. More stuff happens, more reactions. That's it. This practice is learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way we responded to the last 20 minutes is quite different from how you respond to everything else that's happening throughout your day. So all we're working on is closing the gap to where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's quiet, steady, peaceful, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. It's not an easy practice, not necessarily fun, but meditation is free. Buddhist practice is free. Sitting, breathing, becoming aware of what you think, what you say, and what you do. That's it. Once we stop trying to change, fix, control, manipulate everything around us, and we work on changing our mind and our reaction to the world around us, life gets simpler. But it's a practice. Sometimes when we are dealing with heavy things in our lives, heavy moments, difficult situations, whatever it might be, sitting in meditation can almost seemingly make them worse. And it's very often there's this illusion, or I think idea, um, people have, that meditation is going to fix things. And I've never understood meditation to be anything that fixes things. It allows us to be with things as they are, see things more clearly, and to understand that whatever we're going through, the meditation doesn't change. It allows us to be with it. So if we feel sadness in our lives, the meditation sometimes may intensify the sadness. But the idea is that we begin to recognize the impermanence of the emotions, the impermanence of whatever it is we're sad about, the impermanence of ourselves. And it allows us to just find tremendous gratitude and appreciation for everything we actually have. When we lose loved ones, friends, family, animals, those that are closest to us, it hurts. And it hurts because we love them. And this is part of life. With birth comes death. And with death comes birth. So it is a constant continuation and an endless cycle of rebirth and continuation of consciousness. But in this human realm, what we have in this physical form is we see, taste, touch, smell. We have these physical senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, that allow us this attachment and craving to physical form. And what we miss is the ultimate reality, which is we are just physically here in a sense that is so different from how we perceive it. And if we can be with the impermanence of ourselves and everyone that we love, then ideally this allows us to sit in a place of gratitude and appreciation for the moments that we've had. So I think that's enough on that for right now. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. I always prefer to use the rest of the time to address questions. There's a chat box there on your screen. And so feel free to type in question, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're sitting with, and I'll use the rest of the time to respond to that. Questions, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're sitting with. Sometimes sitting with things that are heavy on our hearts and our minds is difficult. And as I said earlier, this practice is not always easy or fun, and that's part of it. It's sitting with the reality, with the ultimate truth. Ultimate truth is we come together for a period of time and then we cease to exist. I don't see this as negative or depressing. I see this as reality and truth. So this allows us to be with things as they are. Rachel, first timer here. Thank you for offering this. Absolutely, Rachel. Thanks for joining us. Glad you could find us. Any thoughts or questions? Meditation, Buddhist practice? And Janelle, if you want, if you're comfortable, you could text me or message me a photo of Piper, and I'd be happy to share it with everyone if you'd like. All right, question. I'm new to the practice. What do you recommend for becoming more familiar with the concept and teachings of Buddhism? So I think it's, welcome, first of all, Maria. I think it's important to understand that first and foremost is that Buddhism is really helping you wake up to the nature of yourself. So I'll give you a few tips at the end, but I want to start with this thought because it'll save you, I think, years of confusion. There's a lot of books, a lot of readings, a lot of teachings. This is a philosophy and a religion and a way of life that's been taught for 2,500 years. So there's a lot out there, and it can be overwhelming and confusing. And I think it's first for beginners. My master used to talk a lot about how to study and how to practice Buddhism, is to begin to recognize that Buddhist practice is not something outside of you. Buddhism is not something outside of you. It's not something that existed 2,500 years ago. It is something that exists every day in your life. And so I've always looked at Buddhist teachings as a mirror, meaning that the core, the heart of Buddhist teachings is to understand that we have a lot of suffering in our lives. This is the Four Noble Truths in brief. We struggle and suffer a lot throughout our daily lives, that there's a cause to that suffering, which is greed, anger, and ignorance. The practice is to overcome greed, anger, ignorance with generosity, compassion, wisdom. The third noble truth is that there's an ending to suffering. We can suffer less. This is nirvana, liberation, freedom from suffering. And the fourth is the Eightfold Path. And this is the correct views and thoughts and speech and actions, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, concentration. So what I just summed up there very quickly, I know Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path. I know it seems like a lot, but all of Buddhist teachings really come from that core teaching right there. And that you can Google Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Path, and you'll find a lot out there. But what it's all pointing to is actually getting you, Maria, to know yourself. So there's lots of history and cool words and phrases and teachers and masters and all these things in Buddhism. But the reality is none of them are here with you right now. You wake up every day, you have the choice to be kind or to be mean. You have a choice to be generous or to be greedy. You have a choice to be selfish or to be, of service. So we have these opportunities in our lives every day. And most important with Buddhist teachings is to begin to recognize that we create our lives each day from our perception. So I always like to start with that general idea. From there, and I see Stacy added, yeah, that's always my favorite intro to Buddhism book is Lotus in the Stream. It's out of print, but you can get it on Amazon. It's all the core teachings, Four Noble Truth, Eightfold Path, the Paramitas, karma, rebirth, dependent origination, summed up in probably 10 to 15 pages. So it's a great intro to Buddhism book, which I think is a good place to start. Buddha for You, which is our, attached to the Dharma Bum Temple. We have some great Buddhist books for beginners there as well. You can see them on the website, but I think it's a matter of finding 2 or 3 Buddhist books that kind of you can connect with and work for you, and then continuing to practice what you've learned from those books. So try not to get overwhelmed by reading 20 or 30 Buddhist books and thinking that that's going to make it better. The only thing that's going to make your life better is your thoughts, your words, your actions. That's why I always share, think good thoughts, speak good words, and do good deeds, because you create your reality. And if we practice loving kindness and compassion, if we practice forgiveness, and if we practice morality and being patient, if we practice these things that the Buddha was teaching about, which really are not much different than what every other great religious leader or parent was teaching. If we practice these things in our lives, then the life of um, for ourselves and those around us gets better. So hopefully that answers your question, Maria. And then as far as it's tough right now in kind of this pandemic virtual setting, but there are lots of Buddhist communities and sanghas. Sangha just means community of people looking at Buddhist teachings and practicing. The sangha is incredibly important to find others that you connect with. uh, when things were open, I used to always say, go to 5 or 6 different Buddhist temples or centers and see where you feel comfortable. It's really the same thing here. Is we want to feel comfortable when we're trying to learn something new, especially that is really helping us be very genuine and authentic and real with our paths. I like to say we're a mess. I'm a mess. I've been at this practice 17 years, and all it's made me realize is what a mess my mind is, and now I have to deal with it every day. So, to quote Shinra Suzuki, one of my favorite teachers, you're all perfect exactly how you are, and you all could use a little improvement. So, a lot of this is having some patience with ourselves as we go on our own spiritual journey. So, hope that helps. Stacy, yeah, thanks again for sharing that, the lotus in the stream. Bridget, I'm grateful for the grief because it forced me to be present with what is and feel. Ultimately, uh, it helped me kick bad habits that I used to fill with addictions. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a big part of dealing with grief and loss is that it helps wake us up to what is actually real. And dealing with bad habits or addictions, things that have caused so much suffering in our lives, this helps us kind of look at that and forces us to be real with what's actually going on in our lives. So um, other thoughts, questions? You're welcome, Maria. Meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're struggling with? Yeah, when we look at addiction, you're dealing with cravings and desires, and the Buddha taught that the root cause of our suffering is craving and desire. So we work on recognizing these cravings and desires, but also realizing what is it about us that is causing us to crave and desire something. There's chemical dependencies and things of that nature, and there's also this sense of self, and often the sense of feeling not so great about ourselves that can lead to addictions and additional cravings and desires. So I think the uh, judgments and critiques we have of ourselves are often um, pretty strong. And the gentler and more compassionate we are towards ourselves, and always the practice of kindness and compassion must start with ourselves first and then outward from there. So, but often the critiques and judgments we have ourselves are pretty harsh. And so, if we can give ourselves a break a little bit and realize that, hey, life is not easy, it's a challenge. We faced, tremendous difficulties, some more than others, but our difficulties are still our own. And so, regardless of whatever traumas and challenges we faced, here we are. We have an opportunity to um, wake up to this present moment and build a life and create a life going forward that is pleasant. Other thoughts, questions? mentioned a bookstore on the website. Yeah, Buddha for You, which is the Dharma Bum Temple. It's a part of the Dharma Bum Temple, the gift shop we've had for um, what I guess 11 years now. So just go to Buddha for You. It's buddha-for-u.com, or just Google Buddha for You, or you can link to it from the Dharma Bum Temple website. Either way, you'll get there and you'll see those books that we carry there. We really pick specifically for beginners. So you'll have Buddhist books from different traditions, whether it's Tibetan Buddhism or Mahayana or Theravada Buddhism. Really a couple from each tradition that allow you to get a sense of what the different approaches and practices within Buddhism really are, because there are differences. They're all kind of at the core the same thing, but we like different food to eat. We like different people to hang out with. We like different clothes to wear. So we have these very individual and unique personalities that tend to lead us in different directions. So looking and exploring Buddhism is kind of the same thing, that we want to find an approach that resonates with us and that we will stay consistent and steady with. If for me, having a background in Taiwanese, oh, that's funny. I'm actually just seeing now Rachel's question. I've seen their various branches of Buddhism. How different are they, and would it make a difference if we learn from one school versus the other? It's actually what I was talking about before I saw your question. So it helps to understand that there are really three major schools: Tibetan Buddhism. The Buddha himself, to give a very brief history of it, he lived 2,500 years ago, so 500 years BC. He was a prince. He lived until he was 80. He left the princely life at 29. He roamed the base of the Himalayan mountains for 6 years, and at 35, he sat down and had what they call the awakening, which is where he understood the cause of suffering. So he taught for 45 years, and he died at 80. From there, over the next 100 years or so, Buddhism left India, went south, Southeast Asia, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia. Around the turn of the century, it goes up to Northern Asia, China, Japan, Korea. And then 1,000 years after he died, you have it going to Tibet, and then maybe 100 years ago coming to the West, US, Europe, Canada. So you have Buddhism that has spread for 2,500 years, and you have three major schools: Theravada, which was they called the old school, the original teachings of the Buddha. Then you have Mahayana Buddhism, which is more out of China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan. And then you have Tibetan Buddhism, obviously from Tibet. That's Vajrayana. So these three major schools, they're different, but at the very core, they're all the same. They're practiced differently. A lot is influenced by the culture. As I was starting to say, for me, having a background in Taiwanese Chan, which is Zen, Chinese Buddhism, and what they call Pure Land Buddhism, where the temple ritual practice was a lot of bowing, a lot of chanting, a lot of robes, a lot of it, all of it was in Chinese, Mandarin. So when we opened the Dharma Bum Temple 14 years ago, we opened it to bring Buddhism into a Western culture for people who were not used to growing up around Buddhist practice. If I always say when we were open at the Dharma Bum Temple, and there'd be 70 people there, and I'd say, okay, if I all had you in robes, bowing and chanting, none of you would be here right now. So it's important to understand that there's a whole history and ritual to Buddhist practice, but then there's just the core fundamental teachings of Buddhism, which really apply across the board, whether you're into Tibetan Buddhism or Theravada Buddhism or Mahayana Buddhism. And I think for the average person, which is with us here right now, we can kind of pick and choose bits and pieces from all the different schools of Buddhism that apply to our life. I'm not a big fan of one saying I'm a Mahayana Buddhist or a Theravada Buddhist or a Tibetan Buddhist. I'm a fan of us saying I'm human, I suffer, I have highs and lows in my life, and these are the practices that I integrate that help me throughout my day. So at this stage, especially for someone, Rachel, who's new, I wouldn't get too wrapped up in like isolating yourself into one school of Buddhism. I would just kind of dabble and explore all of them and see what resonates with you. And again, as I was saying earlier, that's where the books I think are helpful, because you get a kind of a taste and a flavor of how the different Buddhist practices are viewed or approached. But they really all come down to, and a lot of scholars would say that the Four Noble Truths, the very first thing the Buddha taught, that the entire body of Buddhist teachings comes from these Four Noble Truths. We suffer, there's a cause, there's an end, and there's a path. That's it. Whether we're in black robes or gray robes, whether we're staring at a wall or playing lots of loud Dharma instruments, these are all ritual things that come out of culture. And it's really beautiful and good to appreciate. But then there's just the practical application of how to bring Buddhism into your daily life. Again, this is your karma, this is your action. Karma is not getting what you deserve. Karma is what you bring into the world. Karma is not about what you get, it's what you give. So all of Buddhist teachings is really about recognizing what are you giving into the world? What are your thoughts? What are your words? And what are your actions? And that's where the books are beautiful. But at the same time, all the books you read, you still have to be held accountable for your thoughts, your words, and your actions. So hopefully that addresses the books and the different schools of Buddhism in brief. Other thoughts or questions? Before we wrap up, I'll do one more question before we close. You're welcome, Rachel. Anything else? The practice really can be complicated when you start because it seems like it's supposed to be this grand thing that has some profound awakening and often presents itself as something you must go somewhere to go do, that you have to be on a mountaintop or you have to fly halfway around the world or you have to learn different languages. It's none of that. It's looking at your life as it is. All your happiness, all your sadness, all your joys, all your sorrows, all your anger, all your kindness, and very deeply, honestly, and authentically exploring that. That's what the practice is. When your life sucks, it's looking at, or when you think your life sucks, it's looking at, why do I think my life sucks? Where am I lacking gratitude? Where am I lacking appreciation? Where am I craving and desiring things to be different from how they are? Where am I angry at myself? Become aware of all of these things, which a book won't do for you. No book written by somebody else will make you become aware of these things I'm talking about. You must look honestly at yourself, again, holding up a mirror and just saying, this is my life, and reflect back on it. That's really the practice. Anything else before we close? All right, so I'll go ahead and close on that. Then we will join palms and we'll do a transfer of merit. And during this time, just holding Janelle and Piper in your hearts. May any merit gained from this practice be transferred to all beings in all directions. May all be at peace. May all be free from suffering. May this merit be transferred to Piper during Piper's rebirth, and to Janelle during Janelle's suffering. May they all be at peace and free from suffering. May we all be at peace and free from suffering. So I just got this. I don't know if you'll be able to see this that well. I'll try. Oh yeah, I think you will. So this is a picture of Piper that Janelle just sent. So as we transfer merit and we think of Piper, please just hold them in your hearts. So I appreciate you all being here. My name is Jeff. I am a Dharma bum. We opened the Dharma Bum Temple 14 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice. Those of us who lead, we're not monks, we're not nuns, we're not gurus, we're not masters, we're not teachers, we're not looking for students, we're just practitioners. We do our best to take our understanding of Buddhist teachings and put it into terms that make sense, hopefully for those who show up. We closed 9 months ago due to the pandemic, coming up on 10 months now. We've been closed, so fortunately we've been able to transfer majority of our classes, about 90% of them online. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, we're here on YouTube. Everything else is on Zoom. We have a great recovery sangha. We do morning meditation Monday through Friday, recovery dealing with addiction. We have a teenage group, a college group, a family group. So there's always something going on. Some new things. There'll be a newsletter going out most likely today. But we will restart the book club we had previously. Ken will resume his Monday night Zen class. That will start up again. And there'll be some other virtual volunteer opportunities coming up, as well as the family sangha will be restarting in January. So we're going to restart a couple things that were on hold for a bit. Everything else is happening as usual. Just go to the Dharma Bums schedule. The website's there. If you have any questions, you can always reach out. So once again, thanks all for being here. If I never see you again, think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. That's really the heart of this practice. And again, sending love to Janelle and Piper during this difficult day. So thank you all.